Security benefits, or if you ever intend to file for Social Security benefits in the future, you or your family or loved ones, you really, really need to pay attention. Congress is trying something, and I'm taking a poll during my live Q&A here about this. They're looking to this was tried under Bush, a partial privatization. They've been trying to get rid of, there's a certain element of the American political system that has never, never, never liked Social Security since 1935. And so they've always been trying to get rid of it. They knew just an outright dismantling it, giving over to Wall Street in one fell swoop, that wasn't going to work. We were definitely going to fight him. We fought him last time when Bush tried to do this partial privatization. Well, they figure we don't have a long memory, and they figure we have forgotten the entire thing about partial privatization, so they're going to go ahead and try it again. So let's talk about that today, and let's see, I've already got a bunch of questions, and some people, the vote so far is 88% said no, we should not privatize Social Security. We should not give your Social Security money over to Wall Street. And I put in there, I was trying to figure out exactly how to do the question. I said, do you want the Social Security trusts, the Social Security, your Social Security money to be given over to Wall Street and invested in Wall Street? But that's not actually what he is talking about. So this is bipartisan. There's a Senator Tim Kaine and Bill Cassidy, and this is their plan. And they say they have bipartisan support. We'll get into the plan. But they're saying, no, we're not just going to invest it in Wall Street. We're going to invest it in real estate. And since 401ks, I guess now based on the executive order, can also be invested in crypto. So is your Social Security money going to be invested in crypto? That's, yeah, that's a whole different, animal. All right, so let's get into what they're talking about. So I talked about this last year in December 2024, and I put this out there on my channel. I say, hey, we need to watch out for this. A lot of people commented and said, Ed, this is not going to happen. Well, they're not going to introduce this. I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but they are introducing it. And so let's watch the video of Senator Cassidy from Louisiana that is talking about this. And he's basically, he's doing a little remote from his office to a place called, there's a No Labels conference, and I guess it's a bunch of finance type people. So I guess that's kind of a bad way to start this process. It's like, hey, trillions of dollars in the Social Security Trust Fund, and the first people I really need to talk to is finance people, people in Wall Street and stuff like that, and get their okay on this. So that's kind of a red flag to begin with. But let's listen to what he says. I'll just play a part of this, and I'll put this on my all my YouTube and all that kind of stuff, so you've got it, so you can watch the entire thing. All right.
25 years from now. Andy, should I talk about our solution now?
Please.
Or you tell?
No, let's get to the fix.
So many of you, all of you in that room know so much more about money than I do. I'm a gastroenterologist. What do I know? I can tell you some things I know, but it would make you maldigest your breakfast. But I remember having a conversation, and there had been an inversion of long-term yield over short-term yield during the Trump administration. And I asked one of you folks, what does that mean? And you explained it to me, and the light bulb went off. I said, wait a second. Maybe we could come up with an investment strategy that could actually pay off Social Security, and if you will, have a free lunch. Now that has evolved. That has evolved into what we currently are suggesting, which is to have an independent investment fund, independent of the Social Security Trust Fund, put $1.5 trillion in it over 5 years, and invest it in the broader economy. No longer only treasuries with low yield, but in the stock market, real estate, other things that would be managed by someone that would bid to manage one of these tranches of investment funds.
Wow. Okay. So there's a lot of red flags that pop out there, and other things, real estate, Wall Street, and it would be managed by kind of the lowest bidder or the people that have that political, yeah. So that's a scary thing in and of itself. Okay. So what they're basically talking about is, I guess, kind of a sovereign wealth fund. A lot of countries have those. Okay, there's not necessarily wrong with that if they're managed correctly. But yeah, that's the whole issue. There's a lot of sovereign wealth funds throughout the world that are just basically arms of that particular political party. So basically what they want to do, here's what they want to do. They want to borrow, because where are you going to get that $1.5 trillion from? It's just not going to come out of, thin air. They want to borrow $1.5 trillion. So over the next 5 years, they're going to issue treasury bills and borrow $300 million every year for 5 years until they get $1.5 trillion. And then they're going to give it over to someone, maybe one of their backers or whoever. They're going to give it over to someone, and those people are going to invest it in whatever they want to invest it in. Maybe there's oversight, maybe there's not oversight, whatever the case may be. And then over many, many, many decades, that's going to accumulate, and this is going to happen and that's going to happen, and everything is going to be perfect, and the stock market is always going to go up, and we're going to make tons of money, and we're going to have a free lunch, and everything is good, and now we will not be getting the cut, because something definitely needs to be done. I put this slide up on a regular basis that in 89 more checks, you've got 89 more checks. After that, if you're receiving Social Security, then your check is going to be cut by 23%. And we've known about this for 40 years. And politicians have failed to do anything for 40 years. We've known about this. The Social Security trustees has been telling us for 40 years, hey, the day of reckoning is coming. The day of, we're going to have a cut and benefits, 23% cuts. And that day of reckoning is 2033. And people say 2033, that's a long time ago. 7 years ago, the movie Black Panther came out, Bohemian Rhapsody came out, seemed like it was just yesterday. 7 years is not that long. So we're going to get a 23% cut. Does something need to happen? Obviously, it needs to happen. Whether you think this is the best solution for that, that's what we're going to talk about today. And as of right now, 89% say no. Here's what's the interesting things. Anytime you invest, anytime you talk to any financial person, what do they say? Diversify, 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 right? Get a certain percentage depending on how old you are. If you're young, you can do a whole bunch in risky stuff. If you're getting close to your retirement, then you need to start getting less risky, right? And less risky means less, return on that investment. But for Social Security, I mean, that's what Social Security is. It's the low risk. Does Social Security, the trust fund, the $2.6 trillion of trust fund that we have in the trust fund, does it get a very, very low return on its investment? Absolutely. We get $63 billion in interest from the trust fund. In 2024, we got $63 billion, $54 billion came from taxation of benefits, people that paid taxation on their benefits, and then regular people that pay in their FICA tax. So this is where it comes in. 1.1 trillion, just people paying their FICA taxes every week, every 2 weeks, $63 billion from interest because we're loaning that money to the government. Yes, we are loaning money to the government and they're paying us interest. And we tax benefits. So could we get a lot more return on our investment if we, bought crypto or something like that? Yes, but it also comes with a lot of risk. And any financial person will always say, closer you get to retirement, you should do a lot less risk. You're going to get a lot less return, but you need less risk. And let me tell you, from someone that's taken hundreds of thousands of claims and helped millions of people out with Social Security, I hate to break the news to you, but every one of us, every one of you, if you're not collecting Social Security benefits right now, if you are not collecting Social Security benefits right now, you are one bad day away from collecting your Social Security benefits. I've taken hundreds of thousands of disability claims, and people, life is what happens while you're making other plans. It's going beautiful, and then one bad day, that's it. Something happens, you get in an accident, you're diagnosed with something, everybody watching is one bad day from collecting your Social Security disability benefits. And to risk that, based on my experience, if you think we should do that, then more power to you. Reach out to your politicians. Looks like 88% believe not so much. Again, sovereign wealth funds, other countries have sovereign wealth funds. Some of them do very, very well. Some of them not too much. And one of the things is this is just a solution supposedly for 70, 75 years in the future. We're going to borrow money for 5 years and then we're going to invest it. And then hopefully after maybe 10, 20, 30, 40 years, we'll get some back. But what's going to happen in the short term? One of the things they do talk about is, as of right now, the law is Social Security can only pay out what they have coming in, right? They can only pay out what they have come in. So right now, you're getting 100% of your check. Why are you getting 100% of your check? Because only about 90, 92% of your check comes from people paying FICA tax right now, okay? The other 8, 9% is coming from the trust fund. We're pulling from savings. If that trust fund wasn't there, your check would be 8, 9% less. That is what's going to happen in 89 more checks. Is the Social Security trust fund is going to run out. The cupboard is going to run out. There's no more savings there to cover that gap. And therefore, only people that are paying into Social Security right now will pay for people that are receiving that Social Security. So you're going to get a 23% cut. And the law is Social Security can only, by law, only pay out what they receive in. So if they only receive 23% less, that's what they have to pay. So Cassidy and Kaine are saying, okay, we're gonna get rid of that law, and then we're gonna have more debt to pay for to make up that difference. So we're gonna borrow money to pay for that Social Security. And everybody on my channel knows that there's one solution. It's becoming not a great solution because we waited so long. A lot of people don't realize that we pay 6.2% of every dollar we make. We pay 6.2% of that into the Social Security FICA trust fund. 1.45% goes to Medicare. If you're making a whole bunch of money, particularly over $176,100, you're not paying FICA tax on that any money after that. So if you're making $500,000, you're only paying about 2.18% of your income into Social Security. You're making $50,000, you're paying 6.2%, and then your employer pays the other. So if they just got rid of that cap, then that would save Social Security for decades and decades and decades. But every year we wait, it's unfortunately not, because we waited too long. We waited way, way too long. But someone said, well, if you raise the cap, then it's going to cause inflation for yeah, people say that all the time. It's just the rich people saying, well, if you raise my taxes, I'm just going to put the pain on you. They're always going to do that anyway. So there's that. All right. So hopefully a lot of comments here. Put your comments in the comment section, live Q&A. Let's get into some actual questions here about Social Security. Let's see here. Everyone pretty much pays the same amount, $185. It isn't based on your taxes or salary or anything like that. Some low income don't pay that much. Most of us do. Okay, so this is about the Part B premium, $185. They're talking about it going up to maybe 206 or something estimates for 2026, but we don't know for yet. We don't know for sure yet. Okay, so there's people that pay more than $185. It's called IRMA, Income Related Monthly Adjustment Amount. Yeah, it's a mouthful. Took place about a decade or so ago now. It's been around for about 15 years. If you go onto my website, it gives you more details. You go onto my website, it's mygovexpert.com. I've got a bunch of information there on retirement, disability, Medicare, all the rest of it, overpayments, living overseas, the whole 9 yards, and ball of wax. But if you click on the Medicare part, you can click on IRMA, and that's basically what it is. Who pays it? How much are we looking at? So if your income, let's say, is over $200,000, then you're paying about $406 for your Part B. And it's also a higher premium for Part D, the prescription drug plan. And on the other end, that Nona Dona, who's a member, thank you very much, appreciate it, has said that if you're having a hard time paying for your Medicare, there are ways you can get around that. It's called the Medicare Savings Program. The Medicare Savings Program, and it's basically through Medicaid. So there's a lot of people, and unfortunately, because of the cuts to Medicaid and also the cuts that are coming to Medicare, yes, there are coming to Medicare as well. I think a lot of people are going to lose that Medicare savings program. So that means they're going to lose that $185 help that they're receiving. So basically what it is, if you or someone you know, this is all about, in this community, we're all about learning information about ourselves to help make sure you're receiving everything you're eligible for, everything you paid into, and then helping everybody else. So if you know anybody that's having a hard time paying that $185, the Part B premium, tell them to contact Medicaid, their state Medicaid office, and apply for Medicaid. And if they're approved at the higher levels of Medicaid, QMB, SlimB, QI, different, anyway, then the state will pay for their Medicare Part B premium. And they'll also be eligible for what's called a Medicare Advantage plan. I always recommend Medicare supplements, but if you have Medicaid, that's the only one you can get is a Medicare Advantage. But if you have the higher levels of Medicaid, you can get a Medicare Advantage dual eligible plan with one of those grocery cards that we hear about all the time. And yes, they do exist. They do exist. The way they're advertised is crazy scammy, but they actually do exist. You just need to go to a reputable source. That's why I partnered with a chapter there, so you can reach out to them. And there's going to be crazy stuff happening in 2026. So if you have a Medicare Advantage plan, you want a Medicare Advantage plan because your Medicare supplement is costing you much money, or you have a Medicare Advantage plan, you want to see if you can switch to a Medicare supplement plan, yeah, you definitely need to contact them. All of those changes, those particular changes you can start doing those October 1st. To actually start changing, it starts October 15th through December 7th. And then if you find something that's better for you, then it'll take effect January 1st. So the FICA cap should be raised so the wealthy pay the same percentage as the average person. Yes, I agree. And people say, well, they'll just get more in retirement and then it's kind of defeats its purpose. No, the people who say that don't understand how Social Security benefits are calculated, about Ben points. Basically, low-wage earners get a higher return on what they paid into Social Security. If your average earning throughout your life was $1,000 a month, then you're receiving 90% return on what you paid into it. If your average earning throughout your life was $10,000 a month, you're probably receiving about 30% return on that. So if your average earnings throughout your life was $1 million a month, then we need to add a decimal and a bunch of zeros there, I guess, and then maybe name a dog park after you or something. So it's part of the social of Social Security, right? And it's been like that since 1935. It's always been progressive. So how are the federal pension funds managed? Those pensions are not running out of money. Yeah, that is a good point. That the TSP, the Thrift Savings Plan, and there's some states that have these as well. Some states have done well. Some states have not done well doing this. And like the Thrift Savings Plan, which military people, federal employees that's managed by a board. So if they did something like that, I could, it's all how the details are written. And who has their cookie in that cookie jar and decides how it's written. Quite often we see in politics that a particular, lobbying industry writes the bill, they give it to the congressperson, and the congressperson puts their name on it and says, yeah, I wrote it, but it was actually written over here. So it depends who runs it. So yeah, with the Thrift Savings Plan, I think pretty much everybody that has a Thrift Savings Plan is pretty happy with how it's invested. So yeah, if it's done like that, then that's a beautiful thing. But again, it's still, you still got the ups and downs of the market, and it doesn't include real estate. And if you're in the Thrift Savings Plan, a lot of those people do what's called a life cycle, that they just say, hey, I'm going to retire in 2055. And then the plan figures out, oh, okay, if you're 20 or 30 years away from retirement, then we're going to put most of your money into more high risk type stuff. And then closer you get to retirement, they switch it to G funds, which is a government fund. But yeah, but that's not good enough for Social Security. Everything has to be in Wall Street. Or yeah. Hello, I think everyone should pay into Social Security on every dollar they make. Even rich people can collect Social Security if they want. Yes, yes, I think it should be fair across the board. Absolutely. Investments are no good. Why? Because having experience losing in the market, you can go down in seconds. It's all it takes. Can we trust the ones doing the investments, how things are going? I was taking retirement claims and disability claims in 2008 during that whole financial fiasco, that once in a lifetime that seems to happen every 5 or 10 years. And people came in, and I heard story after story after story. I say, okay, here's your Social Security benefits. You're going to get, $2,200 a month. And they say, oh my gosh, this is pretty much all I'm going to live on, because I had hundreds of $1,000s in investments, and then the stock market crashed, and now I've got pennies on my dollar, and now I'm going to be living on Social Security. So if you're young and, you can wait 20 or 30 or 40 years for, the crash to, reset, then that's one thing. But if you can't, then yeah. What can I do with acquired cash if I'm on disability? I'm scared about keeping it in the bank. It depends on what type of disability you're on. If you're on SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance, no issues whatsoever. You got $1 billion, put it wherever you want. You can click on the little button down below, buy me a coffee or something, me and my son. But if you're on SSI, Supplemental Security Income, then, you have to make sure that, I'm not sure where you got that acquired cash. That's kind of a suspicious way to put it. But anyway, okay, more whatever. But if you're on SSI is Supplemental Security Income. It's the welfare-based program, and that's the one they look at your bank accounts. I just did a video a couple of days ago about there was a social media thing about that Social Security is going to be looking at everybody's bank account. That's not true. It's just SSI. They, Congress might do that in the future, but the way this emergency message was recently written, that became a big social media thing. It was just talking about Supplemental Security Income. If you're receiving welfare, SSI, then they've been looking at your bank account pretty much since 2011. They just tweaked the little things. So yeah, I mean, if you're receiving Medicaid, same type of situation. So, but yeah, it really depends. If you're on SSDI, no issues whatsoever. I'm glad I received SSDI when I did. I would have not made it without it. Glad I'm on fraud now. I need my Social Security. Yes, so I need to make sure you reach out to your politicians and make sure we protect Social Security. And if you think this is a great idea, contact your politicians and tell them. If not, then tell them that. Yeah, so Bonnie is aware the fact that SSDI, once you hit your full retirement age, you're no longer on SSDI anymore. You're just on regular Social Security retirement benefits, and there's no more, no more CDRs, continuing disability reviews, no more anything. So I'm turning 65 this month on Social Security disability and a widow's pension. Do I need to contact Social Security at 65? No. So this is a good time to tell people that meme NATO is proof that you can collect disability benefits and other benefits. So she's collecting disability benefits and widow's benefits, surviving spouse benefits. One offsets the other, but a lot of people don't file because they think they're going to kick off disability and therefore they're going to lose their Medicare. That is 100% incorrect. So you do not need to contact Social Security because you're on disability. If you've been on disability for 2 years, your Medicare has already started, so you're good there. Yeah, you don't really need to do anything. The one thing that I would recommend is because you're 65, if you have a Medicare Advantage plan, because that's all you could get in your state on being on disability is a Medicare Advantage plan, and maybe you wanted a Medicare supplement plan or wanted to check one out, now's your time to check it out. When you hit 65, you're in a golden window to where you can get a Medicare supplement plan if you want it, if it fits within your budget, if it's good for you. You can get a Medicare supplement plan without any extra premiums above and beyond what everybody else pays in your area. And they can't deny you for any health issues. They can't ask you any health issues because you're 65. So you are in a golden opportunity to check. So doesn't hurt to check. So, and you can call Chapter and they 100% free to check. And if it works out that, Medicare supplement is not good for you, then tell them, hey, in October, when the new plans come out, let's talk then. And they'll set up something to talk to you in October to see if your current plan is still the best one for 2026. So there was just another announcement today by a major health insurance company that does Medicare that they're kicking a lot of people off, terminating a lot of Medicare Advantage plans. There's one that is going to be terminating 600,000 Medicare Advantage plans, 600,000 people from those Medicare Advantage plans. And which is, those people just might be super, super happy, maybe, because they're PPOs. And if your plan is terminated like that, if it's canceled by the health insurance company, you're eligible for what's called a guaranteed issue right. So that means you can go out there and get a Medicare supplement plan with no health underwriting. So when you get that letter, and people are going to start getting these letters in September, it's called the ANOC, Annual Notice of Change. When you get that letter, that's your golden ticket to get a Medicare supplement plan. At least check it out to see if it's best for you. So there was a guy, a professional investor, who got screwed on a game of investments, lost his shirt in the millions in one bag move, a heart attack, sex, goodbye money. Yeah, it happens. That's one of the, working in particular fields, Social Security, I guess being a police officer, working in a hospital, you see different things, right? And working in Social Security, you see people that are going along with their lives and they're beautiful and awesome and healthy and making money and enjoying life and vacationing. And then that one bad day, they're in your office filing for disability benefits. They thought they would never do it. And, 2 days prior to that, they were like, Social Security is a scam. It's a Ponzi scam. It's all, it's all fraud. It's all, I can, waste my money. And then they come in there and they say, oh God, it's a lifesaver. So that's what it was intended for. That's why it was started in Depression in 1935. Those making over 176,000 should continue to contribute to FICA. Currently earned income over that threshold is exempt from Social Security deduction, but not Medicare. Yeah, that's what's strange. It's like, oh, you're starting class warfare. You're making the rich people pay like we are. That's class warfare. It's only war. It's only war when we fight back, right? But yeah, Medicare has been like that forever, or not ever, but a long time. There is no limit. So for Medicare, you pay the 1.45% and your employer pays the other 1.45%. And then there's actually, if you make over 250,000, they pay a little bit more. And then there's that IRMA thing I was talking about earlier, but there is no cap, $176,100 cap, and the world is still turning, and the flag is still red, white, and blue and stuff. We're just saying, okay, you did it for Medicare, now do it for Social Security. So yeah, but they just don't want to do that. And they say, well, if you do it to us, we're going to raise prices on everything. It's going to cost inflation and yada, yada. Yeah, but they say that with anything. So you've known about it for 40 years, and still you people at that Social Security still gave people their dead parents Social Security. Okay. Yep. We certainly did. If you are a child under the age of 18, yes, I gave children under the age of 18 surviving child benefits. Absolutely, I did. We gave surviving spouses their surviving spouse benefits based on, yep. Oh, are you talking about the whole BS about Elon Musk and the millions of people over 120 or 200 years? Yeah. Whatever happened to that story? Yeah. Whatever happened to that story? Where's all the billions of dollars he found? So if Elon Musk found billions of I think I did the calculation one time. It came to a few $1 trillion, supposedly. If they stopped 20 million, the average check is about, what, $1,900? So do the math. The average check is about $1,900, Social Security. And he said different numbers, but let's say 10 million. 10 million people are receiving $1,900 checks that are not actually out there living. So do the math. So if he found that money, where are those trillions of dollars? And if he found those trillions of dollars, why are they trying to borrow to give to? Yeah. So it just doesn't make sense if you think about it for about half a second. Dr. Ed has helped me, and I've told others about the things he's taught us well. He's a wonderful soul. Thank you. Wow. Wow. Thank you. I appreciate it. You are too awesome. Let's see. There's a type of defined benefit plan called a cash balance plan, which guarantees to earn a stated percentage for participants. The company has to insure the contract. Yeah, those are insurance contracts. Some people like those. Yeah, it's insurance companies, you know. You see a lot of Wall Street companies going bankrupt all the time and stuff, but insurance companies, yeah, they usually stick around for hundreds and hundreds of years. So I work part-time. I just want to complement income needed much. So remember, not sure what you're asking here, Martha, but if you're receiving Social Security benefits, early Social Security benefits, you can still work, just as long as you don't earn over $23,400. If you earn over $23,400, then Social Security holds back $1 for every $2 you go over. If you're past your full retirement age, you can work as much as you want, no issues whatsoever. If you're receiving disability benefits, you are allowed to work. The limitations are, there's a lot of limitations. Go on to my website, mygovexpert.com, and it'll give you all the details about work incentives. I only had one video question today. Actually, it was yesterday that I forgot to play yesterday. So this is a very, very short one about the PIA.
How do I find out my PIA for myself and my PIA for my ex-husband?
Okay, super quick one. So yeah, if you want to ask a question, I always answer the video questions. I love the video questions. I like seeing y'all. So you can go onto my website, mygovexpert.com, click on the little camera icon on the bottom left and record a video, and I will answer it, show you up. And if some people are shy, they don't want to show their face, so that's fine. I think somebody showed a deer, a talking deer. I don't know if it's talking, but anyway. How to find your PIA. So your PIA is your primary insurance amount. That's the amount you would receive if you waited till your full retirement age. Okay. So your PIA, you can go online, go onto ssa.gov, go into mysocialsecurity.gov there, set up an account, and it'll tell you what your PIA. It'll say at 67 years old, this is how much you will receive. And that's your PIA. At your full retirement age, this is how much you receive. That's your PIA. How do you find your exes? That's a tad bit more difficult because they won't tell you until you prove that that's actually you're related or were related to that person. So what you're probably asking is, okay, my benefit amount is this amount, and I want to see if I'm eligible for any benefits on my ex-spouse's account, which is perfect, awesome. So what you do is you call Social Security and say, hey, you know, I was married for at least 10 years, or I was married to someone who passed away and I was married to that person for 9 months, a couple exceptions there, but I'm eligible based on that particular criteria. I just want to see if there's any money there available. And they will look at your PIA, and then they will look at that person's PIA. They won't tell you what it is. They're not supposed to. And they'll say whether you are or whether you're not eligible to file a claim and get that money. Okay. So if they say, oh, you know, yeah, it looks like we need to schedule your appointment, that means there's money there available. If they say, oh yeah, no, there's no money available there, and they won't tell you because they're not supposed to. But here's where a lot of people out there are missing money. They're told that one time, you know, a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And at that time, that was correct. The calculations just didn't work out, but stuff may have changed. That person may have worked more and their benefit amount went up, and now you are eligible. Or when you look at someone's benefit amount and that person is still out there alive and kicking, then you're eligible for up to 50%. If that person passes away, you're eligible for up to 100%. So there's a lot of people out there that's, you know, checked, you know, a few years ago to see if they're eligible for, you know, benefits on their ex-spouse, and they were told no, and they thought it was no forever. But since then, that person has passed away perhaps, and now they're eligible for benefits, and they are struggling every single day, and they've got $100, $200, $300, $400,000 or whatever waiting for them. And so come on, share, subscribe, like, tell your friends. Let's get the word out there and help some people. So let's see, Paulette, I'm turning 65 in September. It's now August. When and how do I apply for Medicare? I currently have insurance coverage through my employer. Please advise. Okay, so if you have health insurance through your current work, your current work, or your spouse's current work, and your employer has 20 more employees, then you don't have to do anything. You do not have to sign up for Medicare. Medicare is not mandatory for you because you have creditable coverage, okay? But if you're currently receiving Social Security benefits, then they're going to sign you up automatically. Well, if you're 65 in September, if you were receiving Social Security benefits, you would have already received the Medicare card in the mail. Hopefully it didn't get lost if you are receiving benefits, but you're probably not receiving benefits, Social Security benefits. You're waiting to file to get your money benefits later. So that means you don't have to do anything if you don't want it. However, you might want to just sign up for Part A. It's zero premium. That's Part A covers your hospitalization, and Part A, Medicare Part A hospitalization, the deductible for that might be less than your current plan. So some people sign up for Part A because it's zero premium, and then in case they have to go to the hospital, they save money there. So you might want to check that out. So you just sign up. A lot of people sign up for Part A at 65 and then refuse Part B because you have health insurance from work. And then 5-10 years later, when you stop receiving health insurance from current work, then you go ahead and sign up for Part B, and there's no penalty whatsoever. And then you already have Part A, you sign up for Part B whenever in the future. Then you have to find a plan to cover all those gaps, a Medicare Advantage plan, a Medicare Supplement plan, prescription drug plan, all that kind of stuff. So, but if you're good, then you're good. So if you want to sign up for Part A only, just the one thing, if you're currently giving to a health savings account, then you have to stop contributing to that health savings account 6 months before you start Part A. But if you're not, then it's not an issue. Richard, I would agree to that plan if they would take the cap off Social Security and go no cryptocurrency investment. Okay, yeah. So you're saying, okay, that's a good plan. You can do a little bit of percentage, or not all of it, into investment, but it has to be good investments and not some crypto type stuff. And at the same time, if y'all want that $1.5 trillion Wall Street, then hey, sacrifices need to be made, right? Like we're making all these sacrifices, losing Medicaid and getting our Medicare cut and all that kind of stuff, so the billionaires can get a tax cut. So if we have to take a shave so you can get a bunch of money in tax deductions, then yeah. So yeah, that's a good argument. So how much can I earn from work and get Social Security? It really depends what type of Social Security you're receiving. Are you receiving SSI, Supplemental Security Income? Then that's a 1-for-1. If you're receiving retirement benefits after full retirement age, you make $1 billion. Before that, 23,400. If you're on SSDI, that's a different thing as well. So go on to my my website there, and I give you all of the details. So just find out. So if you're on SSI, just click on the SSI, and then it has the little thing about working in SSI. If you're receiving retirement benefits, it has it on working and receiving retirement benefits. Got a cool little calculator that you can play with, 100% free. If you're receiving disability benefits, a little more difficult. So I've got a PDF there, a guide that I wrote, and then also got a calculator, 100% free. So, yeah. So it really depends what kind of benefits you're getting. What happens when the economy totally collapses? What happens to Social Security? Are you meaning if we do that investment type thing? Well, then, yeah, then I guess all bets are off. But Social Security will always be here. This is one thing politicians kind of use to scare us. They say, oh, Social Security is going bankrupt. No, it's not going bankrupt. Social Security will be around here for hundreds of years, as long as we don't give it over to Wall Street. But as long as there's actually people working and paying into Social Security every day, then Social Security is going to continue to exist and still pay Social Security benefits. how much they're going to pay, that's the issue. That's what we're talking about. As of right now, 23% less in a few years. Why? It's not because of less babies and all that kind of stuff. No, it's just because our wages have been stagnated since the 1980s. And the money has gone to the top, and the top doesn't pay into Social Security. So that's where all the money's gone. So if we would have got that money, we would have paid that money into Social Security because we have to pay 6.2%. And everything would be good for Social Security. We wouldn't have these issues, and I wouldn't have to talk about any of this right now. But there it is. Dr. Ed, acquired cash. I have SSDI and SSI. I've not spent much due to my health. Do I have to go by the SSDI rule or SSI rule? You have to go by SSI. SSDI doesn't really, it depends how you acquired that cash. If you work for it, if it's earned income, then that's work. So you have to make sure, you're keeping within the work incentives there. But SSI, any type of money like that, then you have to make sure you notify SSI. And if, because in terms of SSI, it's $2,000 resource limit for single, $3,000 for a married couple. So if it's more than that, then yeah, you need to talk to them, and there's all kinds of ways to spend down. So if you've got a, quick inheritance, or, whatever you won, a slot machine won $4,000 or $5,000 and stuff, then you just contact them and say, hey, I got this money, but, living on the precipice for so long, I need that money. I've got to fix my car. I got to, weatherize my house. I've got to pay back friends. I've got to, doctor's bills, or whatever the case may be. And you can do what's called a spend down. You say, yes, I got $5,000, but that's going to be gone, immediately. And you just tell them that, and should be good. No issues. Would it help to raise the minimum quarters work from 40 to 80, 10 years to 20 minimum? Yeah, if, that's, well, the minimum quarter. So that means a lot of people are not going to be eligible. So it's 10 years versus 20 years to be eligible. Probably not. No. In my YouTube description, it's the Social Security actuary, the numbers guy at Social Security. He runs all these. Anytime any politician has some idea about fixing Social Security, that's probably one of them in there. He runs the numbers. He pulls out his big calculator and he says, oh, okay, well, let's do this. This is carry the one. And okay, that's going to solve, 2% of the problem, or it's going to be negative, or that's not going to solve it at all. The one that solves the most is raising the FICA cap. Unfortunately, it helped 100% of the time. It solved 100% of the issue a few years ago. Now, I think on the new report, it only solves about 73% of the issue because we're continuing to wait. Every year, it solves less of the issue. So we're going to have to borrow money again to cover it because politicians and us failed to do anything about it. But yeah, you're just, so I guess, people that only work 10 years and, didn't work anymore, they're not going to be able to collect Social Security benefits. So, but most people do work, once you reach 65 or something like that. Yeah, most people do work over that 10. So it wouldn't affect too much. Based on what I've seen, taking millions of claims, most people work more than 10 years anyway. So it's, yeah. Are they going to be cutting our Social Security checks? Yep. Absolutely. In 2023, it's not me saying it. It's the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget. It's the Social Security trustees. Yes. Why was a cap on wages included as part of the Social Security program in the first place? Has it always been part of the program? Yes, it's always been part of the program. That they just said at that time that the people that made, the JP Morgans and, the Carnegies and whoever at that time, I think that was a little bit early, but anyway, you get the drift. The people that made that much, if they paid more, they're not going to get a benefit because the way the calculations were done at that time, and the fact it was a very, very, very small percentage of robber barons at that time that made that much money. So it wasn't really an issue at that time. So that's what they did. Now it's an issue because so much of the money, after World War II, during the, Eisenhower administration, taxes were like 90% and stuff, and we still had a booming economy, and, but now so much of the money since the 1980s have gone to the top, it is an issue. So I've done a lot of research on the Social Security Trustees report, Francis Townsend and all those guys, and if they would have saw how it's worked out today, they would have gotten rid of the FICA cap. Guarantee it, 100%. So situation was just different at that particular time. Yeah, but it was still progressive. People that made over, it was $250 or so, paid a smaller percentage. People that made under $250, got a higher percentage. But we've changed that a few times. It's no longer $250. Write your congressman, U.S. senators to raise the cap. Yes, but they have all the people, the millionaires and the billionaires that are in their ear, not wanting them to raise the cap. Right? They have changed eligibility requirements for Medicaid inclusive. With the big beautiful bill, they're making a lot of changes, and people think that the one big beautiful bill is not going to affect them. Yeah, it's going to affect it. The only group it's going to affect is people living in the United States. Let's just put it that way. And I'm going to talk about it. I'm working on I think I'll do it tomorrow, video tomorrow about that. There's one group that's going to affect, and those are people living in the United States. So thank you, Dr. Ed. The information provided is worth its price in gold. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Dr. Ed, how long does that golden window last at age 65? 6 months. 6 months after you turn 65. So yes. But with Medicare supplements, you can actually change the whole special enrollment period and initial enrollment period. It's just a nightmare for Medicare supplements, Medicare Advantage, and everything. It's just crazy. That's why I partnered with Chapter, and they can just walk you through your particular situation. But if you have a Medicare supplement plan, you can change that 365 days of the year. You can change it anytime you want to another one. If you have a G that's starting to cost you money, you can maybe look around for a cheaper G because they're all the same except for pricing. If you have a G, you might want to get to an N. If you have an N, you might want to get to a G. But if you're not in one of these special enrollment periods, then you will have to go through health underwriting probably, unless you're in some states you don't have to. If you have a Medicare Advantage and you want to switch to a Medicare supplement plan, then you can, starting October 15th, you can get out of your Medicare Advantage because everyone's going to get out of their Medicare Advantage plan December 31st. Your plan may automatically renew, but people think, oh, my plan will just renew. Okay, yes, but not the same plan. That's why you get that letter in September that says, okay, we're going to renew your plan, December 31st, but it may or may not be your current plan. You'll still have your same card, and you may still have your same hospital, and that your doctor might be covered or maybe not now. But we're going to change, we're going to, raise the prices on your hospital. We're going to change the prices on your drugs and all that kind of stuff starting January 1st. And if you don't do anything about it during October 15th to December 7th, then whatever new plan you get starting January 1st is whatever they decided. So if you don't check, then yeah. And at that time, I was finishing my thought here. So Medicare Advantage, if you want to get out of Medicare Advantage, you can drop your Medicare Advantage December 31st. It'll automatically, and just switch to a Medicare supplement plan. But if you're not in one of those special enrollment periods, you will have to go through health underwriting. And health underwriting, people say, oh my gosh, do I have to go get a physical? No. It just basically, the company like Chapter just asks you some questions, depending on the particular health insurance you choose. And they ask you about 20 or 30 questions. Are you going to be having surgery here soon? Have you had a heart attack in the last 6 months or a year or 2 years? It depends on the particular company. Do you currently have cancer? All these kind of stuff. And if you answer no to most of those, then you can get a Medicare supplement plan. So I am turning 70 in November, Should I apply online or go to the local Social Security office to apply? Yeah, however, yeah, you want. So you're waiting for your full delayed retirement credits. Um, so, oh, Bella, Tyler Durden, someone's using Tyler Durden as their name, and I use Tyler Durden for so much of my stuff, and somebody stole. Anyway, it's an old Fight Club reference, Brad Pitt. But anyway, so you're getting your delayed retirement credits, your full 24% or so from delayed retirement credits. Remember, the delayed retirement credits stops accumulating the month you turn 70 years old. So if you're doing November 20, you can do it either way. If you have been collecting survivor benefits and you've just been waiting for your own to increase, you might want to call the office and do a phone appointment or go into the office. But if you've never filed, then yeah, you should be able to do it online pretty easy. And then whatever documentation you need, they'll reach out to you. Number one thing is, as I tell everybody, check your earnings record, how much you actually paid into Social Security. If the Social Security record is incorrect, then you're going to get the incorrect benefit for the rest of your life. So go into mysocialsecurity.gov, check your earnings record. Everybody, don't care how old you are, check your earnings record. Because, to fix it, a year or 2 years after it's, you find a mistake is easy. But if you wait 10, 20 years, then it's super difficult, if not impossible to fix. And therefore you lost money for the rest of your life. So, and if you already filed for Medicare at 65 or since you turned 65, then it's super, super easy because you're already in the claims path, as Social Security employees say, that it's super, super easy. You're just turning on your money benefits. And since you already have, you're already in the claim, so you already signed up for Part A, so it's super easy to start your benefits. You've already done all the difficult stuff, proving your age and citizenship and legal status and all that kind of stuff. So easy, easy, easy. If you already signed up for Part A, and you refuse Part B, you can refuse Part B again if you want. So if you're turning 70, you want to start your benefits at 70 years old, but you're still working and have creditable coverage from work and you're happy with it, then at that time say, yep, just start my money, but don't start my B yet. I still don't want B. And you can wait for B till you actually stop working, or you can start B now. So it really depends on your particular situation. Time travel, file for Social Security benefits as soon as possible before the cuts take place, since our wonderful politicians keep kicking the can down the road to prevent them. Yeah, that's what a lot of people are doing, but it's, really on, it's your own particular situation, whether you're working, are you working over the annual earnings limit? Do you need the money? Is your spouse, or do you have children that are waiting for you to start your benefits? Then it's usually a good time to start benefits. Are you waiting for the delayed retirement credits? And then there's the political issue in there as well. So, Ed, supplement plans are going up next year along with the deductible. The Medicare supplement plans, yeah, it really depends how you bought it and what state you're in and stuff. Yeah, Medicare supplement plans go up. And what's messed up about that is Medicare supplement plans, they usually don't announce the prices increases until like January, February, March or something. And I wish they would do it about this time, so people know, they can budget. And because there's some people that have Medicare supplement plans that, particularly F plans that are getting crazy expensive. The old F, Medicare supplement plan F, for some people it's getting crazy expensive and they're not able to afford it anymore. So they switch to a Medicare Advantage plan, which, if you got to do it, you got to do it. But I wish they would announce the price increases before, this Medicare, the annual enrollment period, which starts October 15th, so people could budget a little bit more. But now it's like, oh yeah, make your decision, and then a few months we'll tell you what the prices are. Yeah, so it's kind of a bad system. So there are about 30 million more workers paying into Social Security today than there were 30 years ago. Yeah, yep. They think Ed B. Commissioner? Oh gosh, yeah, I wouldn't want that job. Yeah, you got to toe the political line. I'm not too good at that. My brother turned 66 this month. Social Security says 66 in 10 months. Can he work after he starts Social Security? So he is 66 this month, so 66 in 10 months. So his full retirement age is next year. So yeah, he can start this year. If he starts benefits this month and he's already gone over the annual earnings limit of the 23,400, then he just has to stay under $1,950 for the rest of the year. And then next year, because he turns his full retirement age next year, he can earn, we don't know what the numbers are, but probably going to be $65,000, $66,000. He can earn $65,000, $66,000 from January until September next year. And then starting in October next year, when he turns his full retirement age, he can go back to making $1 billion a month. Yeah. So anyway, let's see. Jack, what's up, Jack? Hello, Ed. I'll be going into to file for Social Security in early November. How long does it typically take to get confirmation that I was processed? I'll be 62 in January of 26. Okay, so yeah, you go in there, and yeah, you've got plenty of time. So you're going to be 62 in January. So your benefits, unless you were born like on the first of the month, your benefits won't start until February. You have to be 62 the entire month. And Social Security says you obtain that age the day before. So, so your benefits probably going to start February, and then the February check is going to come in March. So if you go in there in November, they've got plenty of time. You'll have no issues whatsoever. So, but in terms of how long does it take? I've taken hundreds of thousands of them. If you're filing for retirement benefits and everything is good, you don't have any scrambled earnings, you're not eligible for any benefits on another record. We don't have to look at any ex-spouses or anything like that. If it's a simple case, it takes 15 or 20 minutes. Your date of birth is correct. You're U.S. born, or you have your green card. You've got your, proof of that you're in the country legally and all that kind of stuff. If it's all good, it takes no time whatsoever. If there's actually an employee there in your particular office to do that. So it all depends on whether you have, somebody there. Chris, my disabled brother received a letter from Social Security stating that he's receiving $50,000 back pay, survivor benefits over 30 years. He gets Medicaid. He's legally allowed $2K. How does that work? Wow. So sounds like Social Security made a mistake somewhere, somehow, but at least they're rectifying it, that he was entitled to survivor benefits all those years and something fell through the cracks and they're doing the right thing. Sounds like many, many years late, but he needs to contact Medicaid because Social Security and Medicaid, they talk to each other, computer systems talk to each other, but it takes forever for them to talk to each other. So, something happens like that and you don't get they don't call you the month later and you're so, okay, I guess everything is all right. And then 6 months later, and then, the snowball effect, and it's terrible. So it's good to just pull that Band-Aid off now and call Medicaid and say, hey, Social Security messed up. They essentially robbed me of benefits for however many years, and now they're paying it back. And even if I received those benefits all those years, I would have still been eligible for Medicaid. So that's the thing. That's what they're going to look at. And then that you're receiving $50,000 back pay. So they can kind of look at it either way. But the $50,000, just as I talked about someone on SSI, supplemental security income, if he says, okay, yes, I'm getting $50,000 from Social Security back pay, but I'm going to do a spend down on that. I've got this, that, and this other type of thing. And it also depends on what state you're in. Some states for Medicaid, they don't have a resource limit. Some states have resource limits. Some states don't. So I would reach out to them and just tell them 100% honest, because they're going to find out anyway. Just said, yep, here's how much it's going to be. And they're going to direct deposit, like they do all my direct deposits, right into my bank account. So you're going to see that alert. And it looks like it might happen next week or 2 weeks from now. And I just want to tell you all, I've got a bunch of debts and I've got to do this and I've got to pay this person back and I got to fix this and I got to, whatever the case may be. So And then there's also accounts that you can put those in for kind of future disability type educational account. So it's called an ABLE account. They recently raised the age on an ABLE account, ABLE. So it depends how old your brother is, but definitely check that out. So, and Chris, our hero for the day, looking out after his brother. You are too awesome. So that's what we do here. So you're too awesome. All right. That is it. We are over an hour. I'll be back again tomorrow. I'm going to be taking off a couple of days working on this project that's going to hopefully help a lot of people out. So I'll probably be back Thursday, Friday-ish. But I'll do a video tomorrow, and then I'll be off for a few days, and then I will be back. So y'all take care. Have a beautiful night, and please, please, please take care of each other.